All right, Cami Gray, welcome to the Ben Jaminet Show. I'm really excited to have you on.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, for sure. So to start, I want you to tell the audience a little bit about what you do. I know you wear many hats, so it may be kind of a long-winded answer, but that's okay.
I'll try to make it brief, but I'm an interior designer by trade. I've been doing that for about 15 years. It was a change in life career after I raised kids, and it had always been knocking on my door, but just out of fear and a million other obstacles that people put in their way, especially women, I just never said yes to it until I just got so fed up with everything I was doing up until now, and sorry, up until then, and I just literally on a whim was just like, I'm doing this, and I never looked back. And I was already really good at marketing, so I was able to kind of market myself, not the way we do marketing today, but I was able to get myself out there and get pretty busy and stay pretty busy, sustain that for all those years. And then about 3 years ago, it dawned on me that I am self-trained as an interior designer, and you really don't have to go to formal education. I love doing anything that is unorthodox or streamlined, efficient, just crashing the critical path, jumping the fence. And for me, interior design was that, and I just decided that I would start a school to teach other people how to bypass formal education and become an interior designer, really teaching them the business of interior design, how to make money. Mostly women come to my school. A lot of them are really full of obstacles and imposter syndrome and fearful and lacking confidence, and my school is really a boot camp, 6 days long, and it's really to teach them confidence and to teach them knowledge and to teach them how to be a business person and to think business first, even design second. So that's what I've been doing for the last 3 years. I still have my interior design business, so I kind of run both of those businesses. My heart's still in both of them, but I just love seeing the transformation that women can go through in just 6 days when they've got support. And I don't believe in competition. I don't believe in scarcity. There's room for all of us. And I think that what I've seen my students do over even a week and then after they graduate has just been like, it's so rewarding. I love interior design, but seeing women really overcome the negativity and the lack of confidence and just really shine for other people, it's just like the most rewarding thing ever. So that's what I do.
So you're going back into the workforce after having kids. Why interior design? There's so many routes that you can go. I think most people would have been like, oh, I need to go get a formal job that's salaried and make money that way. But you start an interior design business. How does that come about? How does that start in your mind?
Well, kind of like everything does in childhood. It's just who I was always supposed to be. I used to edit my own rooms and rearrange rooms. My mom was always asking me to help. She's an architect, help her with her work when I was 8, 9, 10, certainly into my teens. So it was always who I was supposed to be. It's just that sometimes we're too close to the thing that we love that we don't see it as a potential for a job. I would say to anybody, if they're like, I'm lost, I don't know what to do with my life, I don't know what I'm supposed to become as an adult, look to your childhood for all the clues because they're all there. And so that's number one. Number two, I had been an entrepreneur since my kids were born. I had them when I was 22 and 24, so I was a young mom. But I always worked. I've never not worked since I was 12. But I'd always worked for myself. And so entrepreneurship, for sure. It's too late for me to get a real job when I was in my early 40s. It's just there's no way. I'm not corporate American I would feel like I was in a cage. And so I knew it was going to be my own thing. I already knew I was a creative. It's what I should have done, if I was answering, the calling for my 7-year-old self. And so it just all of a sudden, it just really, really made sense. And sometimes when we kind of hit a low point in our career, whether it's just those Sunday nights or just oh my God, I cannot even stand the thought of going to that same place tomorrow or doing this job again. And so I think you almost have to hit this breaking point where you're just you're sad, you're depressed, you're just I can't go on like this, and there has to be something else. And then the answer happens to be an answer that you've always had your whole life. And, so for me, being a creative mixed with entrepreneurship, and that's interior design for me.
One of the fascinating things I see about business is when you look around you, everything in this world is a business. You look at the chairs, and somebody made the chairs and created a business around them. Somebody made the tables, somebody constructed the building that you're in. But one of the things that personally I rarely ever think about was did somebody design this room on purpose so that I have a curated experience when I walk into it? How does the psychology and the human brain interact with the room around them? And in what ways do you teach your students to curate the room so that the person that walks in has a certain experience?
Yeah, so interior design and just any sort of like room space design comes down to form, function, and flow. So form is, what does it look like when you walk in? What's your first impression? And so there's always just that sort of like walk-in angle. There's the door that everyone's going to walk into me. That's the most important first impression. Certainly all the angles matter, but when you first walk into a room, what do you see? How do you feel? So for this condo that I live in, you walk in and you see these windows behind me. It's all about the view. I'm on the 7th floor, it's city, mountain, so that's the experience you're taking in, is this like indoor outdoor experience and these big windows into all this urban life going on. And so that's form, and that could be the paint palette, that could be texture, the style, whether it's modern, mid-century, modern, transitional, traditional, but all of that goes under the category of form. Super, super important that is intentional. It's not just like, oh, we're going to put some things together and hopefully it works. That's not what good design is. A lot of design and a lot of the rooms you probably experienced in your life don't have any intention behind it. And you can tell when you go into a hotel room, you're just like, everything just kind of matches. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like there's any focal point whatsoever. That's no thought about form. Function is, how are you going to use this space? So you think about a kitchen and you think about, where are the knives going? Where are the spices going to go? It's just like everything has to have a real purpose, and kitchen and bath are the two most important elements of a house. But if you think about a hotel lobby, where am I getting my coffee? Where's my focal point? What am I looking at? If I want to stay warm, well, there's usually a fire, hotel lobby or whatever. So every room has to have, what is the function of that room and how can people best use it? And what's the obvious way to use a space? And the last is flow. How do you move about the space? Because you imagine if you're in a kitchen and your cooktop wall is too close to your sink wall and there's not enough space, how are two people going to be in that kitchen at the same time? So it's really thinking about flow, but that's for every room in the house, every commercial space, residential space. So form, function, and flow. So when a room really gets it right, someone has thought about those three things, and it's usually an interior designer, maybe an architect too, because there's a lot of crossover between what architects do and what designers do.
Yeah. So the next one I have for you is kind of twofold. The first part is, now that we're kind of entering the sort of holiday season, do you see an uptick in business, and do you get specific jobs for, I just want you to decorate this for Christmas, or do you even do that sort of thing? And then the second one is should we start giving people life sentences in prison for putting Christmas trees up before Halloween?
I do not decorate at all. Like, I don't do Halloween, I don't do Thanksgiving, I don't do Christmas. I obviously did when my kids were younger, and I realized as soon as they went off to college and never came back that I really did it for them, not for myself. Did I enjoy it? Yeah, sure I did. And my parents did a decent job for me. I'm not going to give my dad any credit, actually. My mom did a good job. But, when it was sort of over, it's not how I want to live in my space. I don't want to live with holiday decor. I'm not being a bah humbug. I just want my home to be aesthetically pleasing all the time without, like, added little bells and whistles. So no, I'm not hired for it, and no, I'm not someone who does it myself, and no, I do not believe that I used to go to prison for it, but there should be some harsh punishment.
I 100% agree. Yeah. So I think for the average person, they're probably not going to hire an interior designer to do their own home, even though I think more people should, frankly, because that's an experience that you want people to have when you're having guests come into your space. But a lot of people don't. So what are the main mistakes that you see everyday people make when you walk into their homes?
Number one, not hire a professional. We hire a professional for everything else. We hire someone to help with our books. We hire someone to do our landscaping. And then the very place that is so central to our well-being and feeling good, we're like, I got this. And the problem is, no, you don't, because you're good at what you do and I'm good at what I do. I couldn't do the tax professional's job or the landscaper's job for that matter. So I think the first is consider hiring someone, and the myth about us being too expensive and too much of a luxury service and coming in and just doing it our way is totally false. And, I'm very client forward. I'm very client centric. So, I'm going to come into your home and I'm going to say, what do you want this place to look like? What do you like doing? Do you like going to the beach? Do you like going to the mountains? Do you have any travels that you've been on that you've collected little pieces that we could incorporate? So I'm really like playing detective and getting to know you, but it's really not about budget. I think that, there's obviously big budget jobs, but when people have like a huge budget and say, Cam, you can do anything you want, I'm a little lost. So I like when I've got limitations and restrictions. People who don't like that are more like artists. They love the blank canvas. Designers love the limitations, the restrictions, like who are you and how can I make that appear here? So I think that, so that's first and foremost. The biggest mistakes though I see, sorry, I've got this puppy jumping all over me. This is Georgia. So the biggest mistakes I would say is furniture that is too big or too small for the space. So I would say that's a scale issue. Things like you have this big, huge sectional that maybe someone gave you, and then you've got this little rug in front of it. That scale is just all wrong. That's never going to feel good. It's not the sectional's fault, or it's not the rug's fault. It's just those two should have never come together. Unless you want to get a bigger rug, and then you can put the little rug on top of the bigger rug and kind of have like a layered look. But that's a big one, is scale. I think the other one is wall color. I think people have this dream that they want something that has maybe like an accent wall. Maybe it's like everything else is white, but they have an accent wall to give it a pop. Problem with accent walls is that wall is just going to come towards you, so it just makes the room feel smaller. And a lot of people, especially younger people or people who live in a city, don't have big rooms to start with. So accent walls are pretty tricky, and very rarely do they work. I think another one is thinking that's the place to get color, is on the walls. I don't think that's the place to get color. If you ask me what my favorite 5 paint colors are, it's just 5 different colors of white. So I like white walls. I think they open up the space. I love natural light, and I want everything else to shine. So if I want to bring in some color, I can do that in pillows and blankets and artwork and just like little accents in decor. But I'm not going to do it on walls, because I want to preserve the walls to feel open and airy and as much natural light as possible. So I think the misuse and just the idea that color needs to be splashed all over walls, it really doesn't, and it rarely works. So that's a big one. I think also not going far enough. So you've got your living room, and you put your sectional in, and you've got your coffee table and your rug, and you've got some end tables and some lamps, and you're like, okay, we're good. We're not done. I mean, it's those finishing pieces that actually make a room feel complete. And when a room doesn't feel complete, you don't feel complete there. You're just like, something always feels like it's missing. And so having things that and it doesn't have to be like staged and just accessories for accessories' sake. But I mean, I think having some books around are a great thing. But I mean, candles, little tchotchkes from trips, and just fully finishing a space, because that's when you feel complete there and you feel like you're ready to entertain. Plus, it's like you can put like little funny, like, Jack Handy books, which are just like stupid little jokes from the 70s, but which are actually super inappropriate and hilarious. But I mean, they're little conversation pieces. So when someone's in your space and they've never been there before, and it all feels a little awkward, they're like, oh, what's this? And all of a sudden you've got these little icebreakers. So not going far enough. And then the opposite of going too far, where everything is so cluttered. There's just piles of crap everywhere. It's like, how could you ever feel good in a space that has too much stuff? So just like holding on to things, not finding proper places for things, not storing things properly, like both of those. There's just a sweet spot in the middle, and that's when things feel good. And there's a whole category of science now called neuroscience that basically says our surroundings, scientifically proven now, are good for our well-being, and the opposite is also true. So it's like, if they're not finished, if they're not well thought out, intentional, they don't make us feel good, and they actually contribute to our demise in terms of our health and wellness. So that's science. That's just not me as an interior designer talking, saying,
Yeah.
You do this because of this.
That's really interesting. But one thing I want to circle back to quick, which you answered kind of at the beginning, you mentioned budget being a constraint that a lot of people give you. I think over 70% of the American population lives paycheck to paycheck. That's just a fact. So I think interior design, even though maybe we don't consider like a landscaping, for example, to be an optional expense, I think definitely interior design is viewed as kind of a discretionary expense. Can you give an idea? Because I, for one, have no idea what the range would even be. Can you give an idea what the range for a budget would be if you're trying to bring in an interior designer for your own home?
Yeah, so like, let's say you're doing a dining room, because you're like, we want to entertain a lot, so, and the dining room's really visible when you walk in the front door, so we want to have a dining room that just feels like dinner party material, and really sets the tone for the rest of our house. Usually an interior designer will charge a flat fee for that room, and it's usually not as much as you think. It could be anywhere from like $1,500 to $4,000, depending on the client's budget and depending on how big the room is, and if it needs lighting, if it needs wallpaper, if it needs window coverings. Like, maybe there's some pieces that you already have that we could incorporate. Maybe there's a hand-me-down from a parent, and it's like a family heirloom, and it's a sideboard or some sort of a hutch that you want to use in your dining room. So certainly things that you already have, or we can refurbish or even repaint, put new hardware on. Amazon. Those are great starting places because they save, they save money. The other thing is interior designers don't typically buy things at retail. And so one of the selling features that I share with my clients, my potential clients, is you're not going to pay full retail. So literally the chair that I'm going to get you for your dining room, and we're going to order 6 of them, you can do a Google reverse image search. Google Lens will tell you exactly what you're looking at. If you've got a photo of something now, look it up. I'm not charging you that. So not only is the design fee fairly low and it's full service, like I'm coming in and sourcing everything, I'm ordering everything for you, I'm doing all the logistics, I'm bringing everything to your house, I'm unpackaging everything, I'm taking all the waste materials away, I'm placing everything, I'm doing all of the accessories for a pretty low design fee, and you're not paying full retail for your items. So to me, if you really look at it from that perspective, and there's really no other way to look at it, it's actually not that much of a luxury service. It's actually a very attainable service. And we make the design fee, and we're able to pass on some 5, 10, 20% discounts to our clients too. So it's a pretty easy sell when I explain to my clients, like, well, hey, what's in it for us? Why should we work with a interior designer? Like, what are the deliverables, and what are the best attributes about this? And I give them that lecture, and they're like, it would be stupid for us not to work with you. I'm like, exactly.
Well, I think in a longer form answer, you just said something that I learned from, I think it was Simon Sinek. I don't want to misquote anybody or attribute
Everyone
the
does
quote
it.
wrong. But at the same time, I think it was Simon Sinek who said, when somebody brings you an objection, and this goes to the heart of sales, instead of saying, like, when somebody says to you, oh, your price is too high, instead of saying, like, oh, yeah, but I'm giving you this and this and this, say yes, and this is why, which is everything that you just said. Like, I didn't even realize that it was full service the way that you just described it to me. And when you do describe it like that, it's like, yes, and it's worth it. Here's why. So
well,
that's
and what
really fascinating with me.
What you just described is basically the principles of improv. So improv is yes and instead of no but. And so the whole idea of improv wisdom, which is actually a class they used to teach at Stanford, it was their most popular class, and there's a book about it called Improv Wisdom. I encourage everyone to read it because it's basically how to live life like you're in the middle of an improv show. And just everything that gets volleyed to you, just say yes and you will become happy because you seized opportunities as they came your way instead of everything is a no, because nothing good happens with just no, no, no. But also you are, as a salesperson, as someone who's a service provider or even has a brand, you're basically just sharing your features without having to be this hard salesy person. You're like, yeah, you could think it's a luxury service and you could think it's not attainable, but let me tell you what the facts are. And by the time I'm done, you're going to be realized why would I not do this? It's not. I mean, that's what I teach my students because they're so worried about I'm passive. I'm not someone who's really pushy. I'm like, you don't have to be pushy. You just have to be honest about what the features and the benefits are and be very sure of your talent and that you're the person to accomplish them.
Yeah. So last thing here, and then I want to really dig into the school part of what you do. What would you say to somebody who is bringing you in and they're really, really stuck on one piece of something that maybe doesn't look the best, but it serves them functionally? Like maybe this wood is really ugly or this carpet is really ugly, but our boys like to wrestle on this and it hides dirt really well, and I don't really care if it looks good. What would you say to that person that is really stuck there?
I would say you do really care because you're making an issue of it right now. You actually know that this is an eyesore. So I think we can all agree we do care, and so we need to solve this. So this comes up a lot. Someone will have gone on their honeymoon and they bought some piece of art in Bali or something like that, came home and they're like, this does not translate in the Pacific Northwest where they live, or which is where I live. And I'm like, I agree. I don't think this is right for your home. And they're like, yeah, but this was on our honeymoon and it's sentimental. I'm like, all right, let's camouflage it. So that might be something I will let's do up your stairwell. We're going to do some kid art and some family photos and stuff. Let's do sort of an eclectic mix of things, and we will bury that Bali piece of art in there. So it still gets to exist. You go up these stairs, 5 times a day. You still get to live with it. It's still in your home. It still exists, but we don't have to make it a focal point. We don't have to make it a thing because it's actually a thing that makes you feel bad right now. Let's at least just give it a little bit of an honor so you don't feel bad, and maybe, you don't feel good either, but you don't feel really anything. It's just sort of neutral. And there's nothing wrong with neutral things being on our home. But what we don't want are things that make us feel badly. So so that's like one example, but I might have like a family heirloom that someone's like, we need to use this in our dining room. It came down from like great grandfathers. And like, but does it need to be dining room, or could this be a nice little piece in a home office where, doesn't get all of the traffic and more people aren't, people don't really see it. It's not like part of the visual experience of that home. So usually I'll try to, kind of like move it somewhere so it's not, just kind of in our face. But I think the other line that I'll say a lot is, we've got this piece, we don't really feel like it goes, but, for these reasons, we feel like we're kind of stuck with it. And I'll say, yeah, we can definitely do better. I hope you'll allow me to do better for you. But if we're really stuck with it for the reasons you said, let's find a solution. So I'm always willing to find a solution, and we always do. But just my attitude about it, I'm acknowledging that, yes, I agree it's an eyesore. I'm not arguing with them. I'm telling them that, yes, we can absolutely do better. And I'm offering a solution to use it somewhere else. I would say 9 times out of 10, by the time we go through that process, they're like ready to let go. They're ready to like, okay, you know what, this just isn't serving us well, and if I have to go into neuroaesthetics, I will, that, everything impacts our well-being, guys. We don't need to have something that doesn't make us feel good. Something that people have a lot is they'll have something from a family member that they actually don't have a good relationship with, and it kind of makes them feel bad. Maybe it's a mother or father, maybe it's an aunt, maybe, so there's something that feels negative about it. I'm like, we need to let that go. We can't have that in our home. That does not make us feel good. So we don't need a constant reminder of someone who is like less than kind, or, whatever the situation is, because a lot, it's family, it's complicated.
Yeah.
So I kind of have a way, and I think that's something my students have learned from me early on, as we go through our 6-day boot camp, is I sort of have these little 1 or 2 liners for everything. I don't go too long about any one thing, even though I'm giving you fairly long answers right now. But with clients, I try to be very concise. They've hired me, they saw my website, they like my work, they want to be on my portfolio, and they need to trust me. And if I am too weak or too passive or don't have ideas and solutions, they're not going to trust me. They're not going to think I have authority. They're not going to believe in my talent, my expertise, my experience. So it's actually really important for me to shine for them, be firm with them, so they feel good about it. So it's really not about me being like, it's the Cami Gray show. It's more like when I can just be in my, very much like take charge of this, but not in an aggressive way, but in a like helpful and solution-oriented way. They're like, she's taking the weight off of us. She's taking the burden off of this. And she actually enjoys this work. We don't, and we feel burdened by it. So let me do my job for them. And I think that makes them feel just like instantly taken care of, which is the job of a service provider, is to take care.
Yeah. With your boot camp, you shove everything into a 6-day period, which is something I was really shocked to find out, because I think a lot of people that sell a course or are trying to teach something to people think that it has to be this long, drawn out, semester long, 3-month thing. And it's almost like an egotistical view of, I have so much to give, I have so much to teach, and these people have so much to learn from me. So to me, the thing that immediately attracted me to this 6-day boot camp was that, like, this lady wants to give me everything. Even though it's less time, I feel like you want to pack everything in and give me more value, even though there's less time there to do it. What do you pack into those 6 days, and what does the curriculum look like?
It's insane. It really is. And the best advice I ever got was a consultant that I'd hired that had been in the field of short-term education like this. And he said, first of all, Cami, you know too much. So if you over-prepare, you're going to give them way too much information. You're going to overwhelm them, and you're going to talk over and above them. And that's not a good learning environment. And so what he told me to do was do not plan anything until the night before. Plan day 1. Of day 1, all I planned was day 1. Went home that night, I did day 2. Went home that night, I did day 3. So I literally did it in sync with what my students needed. And so basically I went in kind of unprepared with like a loose idea of what I wanted to teach. And I knew that the 6 days, I knew that day 1, I wanted to blow their minds about all the revenue streams that are available to interior designers, because it's a really lucrative job and nobody understands how it works. And so I just wanted to like just full on blow their minds. So because from that point on, anything that they felt negatively or lack of confidence or imposter syndrome, they're like, you know what, I'm going to get over this right now because this lady just told me that I'm going to make a lot of money, and I actually do want to make a lot of money, and I've never done that before, and I've always thought that I might have that potential. I'm going to listen to everything she says for the next 5 days. So I've kind of got them really hooked, really interested. And so then day 2, we learn how to create design concepts. How do we share our ideas with our clients? It's a fun day. It's a creative day. I do it purposefully day 2 so they feel good about their knowledge. And they're like, oh my gosh, I actually am kind of talented at this. And so we're in Canva. We're making collages. We're doing our design. Everyone's like, this is so fun. I'm like, well, no shit. This is what you love to do.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, this is the reason you're here, is because you love this stuff. Guess who doesn't love this stuff? Our clients. They don't love this stuff at all. They don't get excited about it. They don't want us to be so enthusiastic and get them on board. They just want us to show them what we're going to do. So that's what we do on day 2. Day 3 is marketing. Marketing is a hard day because that says I am going to put myself out there and announce that I am doing this now, and will people still like me? Will they believe I can do this? And so I teach a very formulaic way of doing marketing. I use AIO, so it's like not all about SEO anymore. Now it's about like letting the big AI platforms find you, which is incredibly important right now. Anyone who's not getting in on that is going to vanish. And I feel really, really strongly about that. And so this is our 3rd school in November that we're teaching AIO. And I'm only like a month ahead of like the experts on this. So it's not like, or the amateurs on this. So it's not like I'm this total expert. You know, there's the experts, they taught me, and now I'm teaching the amateurs. So I certainly don't bill myself as an expert, but I am like one good solid month ahead of everyone. And I'm starting to get traction, and that's all really complicated, but that's day 3. We also do how to create a website, how to come up with your business name, and how do we actually create a portfolio before we've ever had a paying student. Day 3 is big. Day 3 is when they all like go out, because they're all in town, you know, with me, and they all go out and like go have wine. You know, it's like, that was a lot.
So the best day.
It's the best day for me because I've given them the day 1 excitement, the day 2 fun creative, and the day 3, oh my gosh, if I can get my head around this. So they come in day 4, and that's our only technical day. That's where we learn floor plans, elevation drawings. Can it be taught in one day? It absolutely can. It's not that hard. Everything's digital and efficient and easy now. If I can do it, anybody can. I actually don't even like hard things. I mean, anything that has too many variables and just looks too hard, or there's 10 YouTube videos you have to watch, I'm not doing it. I never have. I've always been like that. Like, what's the easy way? There's got to be an easier, more efficient way. So by the end of day 4, they're feeling pretty good. They know how to market. They know how to get a portfolio before they've had a paying client. They know how to make money. They know how to do the creative, sell to clients' ideas, and now they know the technical side. So day 5 and day 6 are the details. We flesh out furnishing jobs on day 5 and remodels and new construction day 6. It's packed. It's like 8-9 hours a day. It's a lot. I have this personality, so they're getting it. Like, it's not a lot of a nurturing kind of experience, although they're kind of nurturing to each other. So I feel like the support and everyone's like, you're going to do great, is coming from the other students. I'm the tough love. I'm like, you guys can do this. Believe me, you can. And if I wasn't like that and tried to be a little too motherly nurturing,
Yeah.
they wouldn't believe me. They wouldn't. It isn't the voice they need. It isn't what they need from a teacher or an educator in this step. Because I need to get them to day 6 where they're like, I'm going to go do this now. And I'm like, yeah, you are. And I have a mentorship program, so if they want to have more time with me, they can join my mentorship program. I've got 24 people in there right now that are all former graduates, and they're kicking ass. They're like, because what they want to do by joining with me is they're like, I want to do this 10 times faster because I'm going to work with you. I'm like, that's exactly what it's about. It's not it's not where we're going to break it down any further. We're going to go faster. We're going to go more efficient, and you're going to have me to support you. You don't know how to do anything about how do you put a vaulted ceiling in. You got me, and if I don't know, I know how to get that information. So it's just a faster, more efficient way for the mentorship. But they don't need it. They could just go and do it right then and there after day 6, and they know like they're crying. They're just like, I can't believe you just shared everything. I'm like, that's all you need. That's all this job is. That's it. There is no more.
Yeah, first of all, I want to thank you because it sounds like what you're doing for these ladies is life-changing for them. So I think we need more of that. I think we need more women in business, and I think we need more women to be empowered to know that whether it is, being a mom or whether it is going into business, both of those things are equally as important, and both of those things are challenging but possible as well. So when you have these students come into this curriculum, what are some of the main things that you have to break in them, or some of the preconceived notions that they have coming in that you have to completely dispel?
Yeah, one of the things I do day one, there's a book that everyone should read. It's called The Four Agreements, and it's a really simple book. It was written many, many, many years ago. And the first agreement is just use impeccable words. Use words that do not toxic to yourself or others. Just use kind words to everyone. So just watch your words, and even like watch your thoughts, but really like watch how you treat people, but also watch how you treat yourself. So number one, just use impeccable words. Number two, stop taking everything so personally. It's not about you. So one of the hangups that a lot of people have in relationships, in business, is they think that everything is about them, because most people go around the world thinking I suck, and so therefore everything is about me. But it's just not true. A, you don't suck, and most things are not about us. You know, someone is like, even if they say something like, when you did this, it made me feel like this, it still isn't like about you. It's about the other person. So if you can make it not about you, you can unemotionally hear that other person. You can go, okay, that does really suck. You know, and it's not like, oh my God, I'm such a terrible person, I made you feel like that. It's just like, I'm just sorry you feel that way. That's a really tough place to be. I just want you to know how like I acknowledge that. So it's like most things that happen to us, and I'm talking 99th percentile, have nothing to do with us. Even if it sounds like it does, it doesn't. And just distance ourselves from over personalizing everything and making it about us. We will do so much better in friendships, relationships, and business. Number three, stop making assumptions. This is a big one for women, because we love to throw up obstacles. I'm too old, I'm too fat, I'm too this, you know, I'm too young, you know, I'm too whatever. Women do this all the time. And it's actually, if they didn't do that, it wouldn't exist, because the only person that puts that obstacle is them. So if they removed it, it'd be gone, you know. So, and I hear this all the time. And so that's a big thing that I'm doing, is I'm busting through those assumptions. And it's not like men don't do that too, but it is. And I don't want to sound like I'm overgeneralizing between men and women, but if I were teaching a group of men in my 6-day boot camp, it wouldn't take 6 days. It would probably take 4, because you don't have the same problem of men. Men tend to think that I'm actually better than I am, or more talented than I am, and I deserve all of the money, and I want to get the money. Women, to even say I want the money is like, you know, we have to talk about that on day one. They're like, well, I don't need to, you know. I'm like, I don't need, you need to not start any sentences with I don't need. Okay, we're not in a I don't need environment here. We're in a I want this. This is my desire. And there's nothing wrong with saying I want money, I want wealth. If you're a generous person before you make money, guess how generous you're going to be after you make money? A lot more generous, because you actually have something monetarily to give to people. You know, so money doesn't make us bad or evil or greedy at all. And it's, you know, I think of money, another word for money is currency. Another word for currency is energy. Therefore, money is energy. Energy can flow in a positive, high vibrational way, or it can flow in a destructive, toxic, low vibrational way. You choose. You know, so it's like, we're not just, money isn't just money. You know, so that's a big one. And number 4 is just do your best. That's the 4th agreement. Just do your best. Not every day your best is the same as the day before. You might be tired. You might be having a day where you feel a little like you want to lay down and just like crawl into a little ball. It's okay. Give yourself a moment. You know, give yourself that day to sort of like hit the reset button and feel all the feels, and then wake up and get over it and move on, and but do your best. And I think that if you just could live by those 4 agreements, that's why I teach them on day one, and we use them all through the school. It's like, that's an assumption. That's personalizing thing. That's not doing your best. You know, so that's not using impeccable words. And I have to say, with a lot of my students, the impeccable words are that agreement number 1 is helping them not say mean things to themselves, you know, negative things to themselves, and getting them out of that habit, that mindset of I suck. And because again, the only person that thinks they suck is themselves. So if they stop thinking they suck, they just simply don't suck.
Loved everything you just said there. Let me start by saying that. And everybody should go back and listen to that 2 and 3 more times, because
I used to read that book all the time.
all 4 of those were amazing. But one of the things I really wanted to pick out there was the law of attraction, and how you talked about money being an energy that you bring towards you. The greatest way I've ever heard it put was people that say like, oh, if I gave you $5,000 right now, if I offered to give you $5,000, most people would literally have a physical reaction and go, no, I couldn't let you do that. And they're literally pushing gifts and pushing that energy away from them, versus somebody that says, oh my gosh, thank you, and is accepting that energy towards themselves creates an entire different world around you in which random things you can be blessed with, versus if you're
Yeah.
pushing those things away from you, you'll never get to experience that.
No, I would agree, and I think that even more so. I think that if you want $5,000, see you having $5,000. Just like literally, I would like to have $5,000 delivered to my hand this week, and I believe it's going to be there. I desire it to be there. I don't need to figure out how it's going to be there, but I'm gonna believe it. I see it. I want it, and it's amazing what happens to everything, not just money, but relationships, better health. Just anything and everything happens by having this high vibrational match to the thing that we want and truly believing that it's already existed, and so we don't have to worry about it. We don't have to sit and pray and hope and wish things can happen. All we have to do is declare them, think them, or say them out loud, and know what they are, and don't believe that you have to know the how. We don't have to have figured everything out. We're not that smart, actually. And put it out there to the universe, the higher consciousness, whatever it is that you believe in. Maybe it's more scientific, the quantum field, whatever that is. But I have seen this. I'm 59 years old, and I have seen this over and over and over and over. So much so that I'm like, I need to stop thinking because it's coming so fast. I actually can't handle all this goodness. How am I going to take this all in and actually act upon it? Because it's the acting upon it that matters more than anything. You can have all of the desires and miss the signposts, or you can have all of the desires and see the signpost and say yes to it, but then not act upon it. It's the acting upon the gift that was bestowed to you. What are you then doing with this $5,000? What's so good about this money? What's it going to give you or give other people? How are you making a contribution to yourself or others' lives? So it can all be positive. It's all how you look at it, but it has to start with your long-held, strong beliefs that you are a deserving person, which we all are, and that there is abundance. There just is abundance. All these interior designers that are upset with my school, that are existing interior designers, like, you're pumping out all these new designers and they're just all going to take our jobs. I'm like, if they take your job, it's because you don't believe you deserve that job, or you're not good at your job, or you're not going after your job in any positive way with the 4 agreements intact. So it's their fear is not because of these students coming out and coming out into the same world. There's room for all of us. There always has been. There's no shortage of anything. There just isn't. And so I think that for someone like you that's already adopted that. I mean, you're so much. I'm sure I could be your mother for sure. But I didn't know this at your age. So, I feel like the gift that you have given yourself by understanding the law of attraction and understanding how this works with the quantum field, and it's just so accessible. It's not even woo-woo. I don't think of it as woo-woo anymore at all. Just quickly, I was watching this video. I'll share it with you just in an email, but it was by the Stanford professor. It's a 5-minute video on YouTube. It came out in 2019, and she basically did all this research, and what it came down to is mindset is actually far more important than reality. And they did a study on hotel workers that were doing house cleaning, and how that is a very active job. You're basically exercising all day, right? And so when they interviewed all these housekeepers, they're like, man, you feel so fit, and you're just you're exercising all day. And they're like, I'm just doing my work. I'm not exercising at all. I never get any exercise. That's why I'm overweight, and that's why I just I feel so unwell and unfit. And they taught them how to have a mindset shift that you're actually exercising all day long. You're exercising more than most people, and the benefit of that is weight loss. The benefit of that is lower blood pressure. Within months' time, 10 points lower on blood pressure, losing weight, whatever. They didn't change anything. All they did was had a mindset shift that work isn't work, work is exercise. It's all what we think that matters.
Yeah, that's fascinating. And a lot of people do, as you mentioned, think that that's woo-woo or this magic stuff, and it's not. For me personally, I'm a Christian. No matter what your belief is out there, doesn't matter what your faith is. The Bible says, knock and the door shall be opened, ask and you shall receive. Whether it be Christianity, whether it be a different religion, whether, no matter what you believe, that principle, I think, is ingrained in all of those things. So I strongly would encourage people to have that open mindset to anything can come to you. But moving on, I want to be mindful of your time. So I want to kind of crush through a few of these questions here. Social media, you have a pretty large following at this point. You have two different pages, one for your school and one personal, I believe. Tell me about what it's been like growing that. How important has that been for your own business? And then how do you also introduce that into your curriculum? Do you push your students at all to try and grow their own social media?
I definitely push them to grow their own social media. It's the easiest thing in the world to do, and it is very helpful to getting traction in your business. It doesn't always equate directly like on Instagram. It doesn't always equate to instant clients or instant students. It did for me on with the school. It definitely, when I first put the school out there, we sold out our first year in every school sold out within an hour because I had the audience already. But that if I would have just left all of my marketing efforts to that, we would have definitely dwindled down to nothing, because you're always going to get all those people who just are following you because they love interior design, they love business, they want to be you, they want to do that, but not everyone is following you for that reason. And so you kind of work your way through those people, and then you've got to do real marketing efforts. But social media is such a must. Anybody who thinks that there's no point in it, or it feels negative or whatever, I get that a lot from students. It's like, it just makes me feel bad. I'm like, well, then use it for your own interest and don't use it to scroll and see what other people are doing. If it really impacts you, I don't actually watch what anyone else is doing in interior design. I never have. I don't care. It's not like I don't care about them. It's not going to impact my design business or what I do as a designer. I don't need to go look for ideas, and I don't need to have, see other people's success and make me feel bad, whatever that is. So if you're using social and you feel like it's a negative thing, you've got to flip that around and say, how can I use it for my own benefit? And if you want to feel like a good person, how can I use it for my own benefit? Because ultimately, the person I'm going to serve are my clients, and I'm going to give them everything. I'm going to make their home shine. Or for my students, I'm going to give them a whole new career and make them feel so positive and give them all this knowledge. So I know that if I don't do social and I don't take advantage of those very easy and mostly free things to do, the people I am not serving are the very people that I am here to serve. And so I'm doing a total disservice, not only to myself, but to the people that are my future clients that are waiting for me to be ready for me to serve them in the way that only I can. And if I don't put myself out there, how are they going to know who I am or that I even exist? And I think a lot of talented people think that, if I'm good, people will just find me. That's not true. That is something I actually know. I used to believe that when I was young. I thought, well, if I'm good, they shall come. I've got to say, I'm here. I want to do this for you. I want to shine. And therefore, when I shine, I'm going to shine for you. It's always in service to someone else. I feel like if you can always make it about someone else, then you can do the hard thing of pushing yourself out there. And don't you owe it to them. I feel like it's my obligation to make sure that I am known to the very people who want to hire me, and the rest of the people who want to make fun of me or think that I'm stupid or think that I don't, whatever they think about me, I don't care. Those aren't my people. They're not there for me. And so you have to get out of your own head that I'm that important. I'm not important, not to everybody. I'm important to the people that I'm going to serve. And if I keep my head on about that, then I'm going to use social media and everything else that's available. And there's tons of other tools too, whatever's in my power to use so I can get to those people that want me to help them.
Yeah. I saw in one of your videos that you had mentioned that you tried to start a podcast. Maybe this question is more of a selfish one, but for anybody else that's starting a podcast, what did you learn from that? And are you still working on it at all? Or, what tips can you share?
Well, hire someone to do it for you. That's what I eventually did. So I just found that when I first started out, I hired some guy in Upwork. What's all the equipment I need, all that kind of stuff. And he was like, sit in your closet at home because that's got the best sound or whatever. And then I sat there by myself talking, and I'm like, oh, this isn't what I do. I'm not a sit by myself and talk person. I write constantly. I consider myself a writer, but if I'm talking to somebody else always. I'm having this conversation that I'm having, and then I can have like an intelligent conversation. But if it's just me in my closet telling a story, I'm going to be like, who's listening to this? Whereas when I'm writing, I kind of have my audience, especially if I'm on Instagram, I kind of have my audience in mind, and I've got tons of regular fans on my Instagram phone, so I feel like I'm talking to them. So it's pretty easy, and I know what they like, and I know what makes them feel good, and I know what makes them laugh, and they love when they're just like, Cami, you know what? You say a lot of really hard things about yourself, and it just makes me feel like I'm not such a loser, and because I've experienced a lot of the same things you have, divorce.
You're very real, yeah.
But it's like I feel like that vulnerability is like, it gives people permission to be like, me too, gosh, and not the Me Too movement, but just like, yes, I have felt those things too, and I felt like a loser, and I felt like rejected or whatever. Like, those are normal human experiences. There isn't anything about being rejected or, being broken up with, whatever, that is not normal. Those are very normal life things. In fact, I would say that before you die, if you don't experience rejection or someone breaking up with you, you're not putting yourself out there. And those are good things to experience. They give you perspective and all that. But back to the podcast, I eventually was like, I need to hire. And so I hired a team. I met them in a very odd way at this networking event. I couldn't love them anymore. I can't wait to do my next season with them. It was super successful. They got me to number 3 on Apple for design podcasts. It was awesome. It was expensive, and I would do it again in a heartbeat. I loved the experience. I loved it. I think everyone has a podcast in them, and I certainly did, but not to do it by myself. Sometimes we just need help.
Yeah, that's a great point. Last couple questions. I want to be mindful of your time here, but I think these are definitely the 3 most important questions in my mind.
Sure.
You mainly teach and instruct women, as you mentioned before, and some people may share a story similar to yours where they're trying to get back into the workforce after having kids, and maybe they don't have the confidence because they think, even though I can also say that being a mom, from all of the mothers that I've been around, may be the most difficult thing in the entire world to do. So I don't know how you couldn't have confidence that you can do anything in the entire world. But point aside, how would you instruct...
It's very true.
How would you instruct husbands to support their wives when they're going back into this really difficult creative thing that they have little to no experience with, and they need that support at home from husband or boyfriend or whoever it might be, that like, hey, I might come home tired, I might be a little irritable, I might be different because I'm focusing all my energy on this one thing?
Yeah, and this comes up a lot. And because I'm not with the husbands, I can't really speak to them. And so what I do is I empower their wives. I tell them that you're going to go home, and maybe you didn't even get support to spend the money to come to my school and to spend a week in Charleston and a hotel and food and all that kind of stuff. I do give them 2 meals a day, but they're on their own for drinks and dinner. But it's expensive. This is a big deal, and they're spending a week away from their husbands and their families, and they're changing their lives. So it's a really big deal. And what I tell them is if they didn't get the support from their husband, which many of them do, I wouldn't say most, I would say a lot of supportive husbands. But if they don't, when you go home, don't expect that you're just going to like blab about everything that just happened and how it's going to be a total success and I know everything that I need to know and I'm going to go just be the superstar. Play it a little cool. And when they're not supportive, I always say, do what dogs do when you tell them to do something. Just like tilt your head and then just go back to what you were doing. I think one of the things we don't do is arm ourselves with, I know I can do this. I don't need their permission. I want their permission and their support and their blessing. I would love that. That would be great. But it's not like I think that these husbands are not well-intentioned. I wish that they could be more supportive, certainly. But I do think sometimes they're just like worried for their wives or worried that their lives are going to change. I get the feeling that this might not be good or this could be a waste of money and time. I get that feeling. It's not like, I've been married and I felt like some of the things that, people have done in my life, I'm like, is this really a good idea? Should we really be spending money doing that? But I feel like you just have to arm yourself and know that like it's not going to necessarily be met by husbands or children or sisters or friends with everyone's like, I believe in you. I think you can do this. And so what I do instead is say, people, even with good intentions or, maybe neutral intentions, might not support you. And so what you need to do is do it anyway. And guess who's going to believe in you wholeheartedly when you just do it anyway and you make yourself a huge success and you start getting some traction and you start making money? All the people who didn't think you could. So just go do it. Don't let anything get in your way. And it just goes with like remove all obstacles, because I just truly believe there is no such thing. I don't care about age. I don't care about anything. Like you watch these, how many stories can there be of and people that are amputees, double amputees, and they're just like living the most full, rich life as all sorts of different things. It's like, there's nothing stopping us, just literally nothing stopping us. We don't need to put ourselves against the other person. We just have to look inward, feel that we're ready or even just nearly ready, and just go do it. It's the doing that makes us feel confident. So sure, I'd love to teach a class on, I'd love to work with men more, to be honest. I mean, I'd love to work with men. I think I have a kind of equal masculine and feminine side anyway. And I've worked with a lot of men in personal styling. This is a job I did years ago, but I loved working with the men. They're like, Cami, just tell me what to do and tell me what I need to spend and I'll do it. And their transformation was like that. The women's transformation is like, oh, I've got these big hips, I've got this big hip, I've got this weird hair, I've got this whatever. It's just like, I don't see any of that, by the way. Like, I think you look great. And your husband definitely doesn't see it because he actually chose you as his ideal woman. So, like, stop asking him if these jeans look good because he just thinks you look good, But yeah, so I think support is nice and it's welcome, and I wish everyone could be more supportive, but we don't live in a perfect ideal world, but we can certainly be self-supportive and we can certainly be supportive to other people. So we do have some control over support, but just not 100%.
Yeah. Cami, last question here. One day you're going to die. One day I'm going to die. Our legacies will pass away, and only the people that remember us will be able to carry on that legacy and teach the lessons that we taught them. What do you hope that legacy and the moral of your life will be one day once you leave this world with all these new people that you've been impacting?
I think the number one thing for me is that I was in service to others in a truthful way. So I didn't back down about the truth. I didn't make it easy, nor did I try to make it hard, but I always did it in a truthful way. I feel like there is so much fluff in how people conduct themselves, and I know some of that comes from like worry and fear or being liked or whatever, and I think that I was not put on the planet to take the easy road or to take the passive road, and I think that I was here absolutely to inspire probably women, and to be a role model for don't worry what anyone else thinks. You're here for one reason, whether God put you here, whatever that is for you, but you are a miracle, an absolute miracle. Scientists say we're even more than a miracle. There's no chance that we should even be here, but yet we're here. So give this life the potential it deserves. Don't let anything get in your way, and I hope that one day when I'm gone, naysayers, fans, friends, family, whatever, will say she was a role model for reaching her potential, and that the person that I get to meet on the day that I'm passing, that I did that, whether I did it in a perfect way or an imperfect way, I reached my potential. And I hope that story, that role model, teaches other people to reach their potential, because we do all have potential. We're nature, and nature reaches a potential. A flower has a potential to bloom into this beautiful thing, and then it dies. We all have that too, because we are the flower, we are nature, and we're here to do just that. And all we got to do is get out of our own way. So if I'm the beacon for that and showing it through all the trauma and the hard things that I went through, I'll share anything to get people to notice that they're here for a reason, figure out that reason, do that reason, and do it as big as you can.
Cami, absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for all of the knowledge that you've shared with me and all of my listeners. Truly, I can say I could probably listen to this over and back 2 and 3 times. I'm probably not going to soak up everything that I wish I could from this. So thank you so much for coming on from the bottom of my heart. Great
and
episode.
By the way, you're a very impressive young man, and I'm not saying that in any condescending way. I'm just double your age at least. I don't know how old you are. I don't even care. But you're very impressive. You're good at what you're doing. You're putting good things out there. So kudos to you.
Thank you.